Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Gull'S Live View, brought to you by Galaxy TQ. I'm joined by Dom.
Good evening, guys.
Joined by Tom.
Good evening, lads. You're right.
Yeah, buzzing. Joined by Chris.
Well, evening. I can see you're buzzing, Sam. I can tell straight away. You're
I'll start on a
up a bit of
positive note.
TFC chat.
Yeah,
Let's have a bit of energy, Sam, shall we?
Yeah, I'll start on a positive
Snap
note.
up a little.
There's two positives, very big positive. Season changing, you could argue. Torquay's Twitter account has been a bit more human on Saturday since. There's one. Something to get excited about. What was the other one? Oh, yeah, the local press actually asked questions about the owners, didn't they? Or said about it. So,
They can't get hold of them.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But Talkie Talk's making all the difference. That's my only positivity, though. And the women's team, genuinely big positive. Well done. Good result of the weekend on Mother's Day. Apart from that, everything else is rubbish. Jarvis is happy to be here, though. Jarvis is happy to be here, we've learned, after that one Yeovil fan made our whole, well, we're already in a meltdown, but our whole fan base going no way. But we'll see what happens there. Well, where do we start? Gateshead.
Has to start with Tom, doesn't it? He's
Nice
the
day
main
out,
man.
Tom.
Yeah.
Lovely day out. Lovely couple of days out. What started on the Thursday night in Brighton, watching Charlie Baker. Great show. If you haven't seen it,
Mate, we saw it in Timoth, didn't we? We forgot to bring it up. It was a fever dream on our one because I sat in front of Gary Johnson and Chris and Dom. Really, yeah, it was very good.
You went to
Very
Traeger
good.
to enjoy it, Sam, when you? Gary,
That's a good point. Did he talk about Traeger Mills out there?
Of course he did. Of course he did. It was quite funny, actually. It was quite funny because, of course, Brighton, a lot of people, they do it from Talk Sport. But I think some of the Devon references kind of went over people's heads, and Traeger Mills is definitely one of those things. Unless you've been there, and you really don't appreciate its beauty. Yeah, so that was really good. And then a mad dash across Edinburgh, and to get down to Newcastle, and a lot of beers, a lot of shots on the Friday night, and feeling a bit worse for Saturday morning. And then we come to the football.
The worst part of any away day.
The worst part of any away day.
Many of an away trip's been a cracking trip, and then it all goes down at 3 o'clock on Saturday.
My weekends are always great, apart from 3 to 5 on a Saturday, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'll say is Newcastle, brilliant city, crazy place, but absolutely love it up there. Yeah, the football.
It's no Worthing there, is it?
No, it's no Worthing. It's no Bog the Regis, you know. But yeah, the football. Lads, what can I say, really? Barely saw any of it because we were so far back. Thankfully, they kept us in the covered area next to the home fans. It chucked it down in that second half, but
just looked completely empty, didn't it, from our sort of vantage point, because there's nobody in half the ground.
It is such a soulless stadium. It really is. And I do feel sorry for clubs like Gateshead and there's the supporters of Gateshead for having to watch football there on a regular basis. But that's, you know, the deal that's the cards they've been dealt. And
it must be tough for the players to get motivated with so many of the stands empty and there's no atmosphere. I was listening on the radio. I could barely hear anybody there. It was just
I mean, you say that, Dom. I mean, they look pretty motivated to me. Considering once again it was a must win. We all agree that, right? It was a must win game.
Yeah.
We've gone past must win, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's gone way past, mate.
But one of those we need to win against a club.
One of the more winnable ones.
One of the ones, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Gateshead, just from the word go, they looked on it. We had our moments again. Jarvis had he got to the ball ahead of the keeper. I'm not sure if he played the right ball in. I think Evans was there, but he crossed it in for Stobbs, and he was very unlucky. He made good contact on it, clear it off the foot by Gateshead, and then it was
for the first half, wasn't it, Tom?
That was pretty. It was such a poor half. Gateshead, they had moments where they had shots just wide, but again, it was just like knife through butter with our defence. Donnellan was struggling a lot to cope, especially. Which is a shame because I really do like Donnellan, but the last few games he's just not been very good. McGavin, again, how many times do I need to say it? He's slow. He gets dispossessed too often.
I had the radio on, and they just like, McGavin is dispossessed. I could have heard that about 12 times during the first half, and oh my goodness.
Then you've got Halstead. He goes down injured towards the end of the first half for a nothing shot.
Frustrating.
And we were just like, you just think, oh, for God's sake. I'm surprised I saw him come back on in the second half. And then 3 minutes later, we're 1-0 down. I think it was Stobbs that lost the ball. And from about 20, 25 yards out, they've hit it into the net. But I think Halstead saves that if he's not carrying that injury. I really do. Or at least any competent keeper you'd expect to save it. And it's just...
What did he injure, Tom, when he went down?
His arm. He went down, and he was just holding it. Like, you could tell he was in discomfort. And as soon as the goal went in, he was subbed. He got quite a bit of stick from some of the away fans, though. I think there was just a lack of urgency all round, but I don't think that was justified in my opinion. But it was just so frustrating.
He should have gone off, shouldn't he? It's all right.
He should have gone off. Yeah,
it's all right trying to play brave boy, isn't it? But if you're injured, go off, because as a goalkeeper, you make a mistake. We all know that.
Yeah, it's not like we had no one on the. It wasn't like we didn't have anyone on the bench. You know, Lovett's there. He's not had great performances at home, but like away from home,
he's great away.
He's quite good. Yeah, he's such a great keeper away.
He falls apart. I find it mental.
Yeah, but and to be fair to
Lovett, keeper though, is he?
No, he's got ability. He's just confidence, I guess.
But to be fair to Lovett, he did really well when he came on. I mean, it's no easy feat having to come off the bench after not playing for so long. But yeah, it was just a struggle, lads. It really was. And Gateshead were nothing special again. They were so wasteful in goal. You can see why they're down the bottom. They just can't shoot for toffee. That moment was the only real sort of quality they had. And again, it kind of felt self-inflicted because we're playing with a keeper who's injured his arm. So he went off, and Evans was sort of the only one that kind of was looking to make things happen. He was what I sort of expected from him at the start of the season, to be that sort of creative influence in midfield. And the equaliser was really well worked as well. It was good cross. It was deflected.
I don't think it hit on the head, didn't it?
Yeah, I think around that. But if he doesn't get that deflection, then the chance doesn't happen, I think. So it was quite fortunate that we got to that moment, and he hit it really well, and it was a great leveller. And then we had no urgency. We didn't go and chase the game for a winner. And I'll tell you why, because we were knackered after 70 minutes. They were just absolutely shattered. Jarvis had run himself into the ground again. And there was just zero urgency to get a win. And at full time, there was quite an interesting split between fans who would give it, we had the discussion last week about clapping at football games. You had those that were clapping, and then those sort of at the back of the stand where I was. And there was talk there was some abuse, and that some of the players' family had to leave early because they didn't want to hear any abuse. I particularly didn't hear any abusive language. It was just very much, why haven't you gone to win this game? We're 23rd in the National League. We're absolutely, we've got 9 games left, 27 points to play for. We need to, in my mind, win at 5, 6, just to have a chance now. Can't see it happening. And I think that Gary and the players, they were a bit perplexed. I honestly think they thought that was a good point. And I don't think they quite understood our frustration. 7 wins all season. We're 37 games in. We're staring relegation in the face, and they're wondering why the fan base, they all
seem to be in a dream world, don't they? They all seem to be in an absolute dream world. It's not happening. We're going to get out of this. They don't seem to believe that they've been in the relegation. We've been in the relegation position since September. It doesn't seem to dawn on them that if you don't win this game, we are going down, lads.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, and it's coming right from the top to the bottom of the club. I just don't understand this.
It was just astounding to me. I mean, on the way back from work today, thinking about what I was going to say for this episode. I mean, I could go on and on, but you can see why we're getting relegated this season. We just don't have the fitness in the squad, and we just don't have that urgency to get ourselves out of trouble. And
it's just, I just can't get over that. It's just mental that I just don't see it at all. How
there's no desperation, Sam.
It's like I said last week when Ross Marshall was going off at 1-1. We've got a free kick and it took a minute to go off. And we're like, hey, I'm 4-0 up. It's no, we're 6 points from safety.
Yeah.
Only thing I would add is that, I mean, again, trying to be as level as possible with it, is that, I mean, if the manager came out and said, yeah, we're in big trouble, we're knackered, you can't come out and say that. So he's got to come out with a.
I don't mind what he's. I don't mind.
He doesn't have to say you're knackered,
but just don't time waste at 1-1.
He should say we are in trouble, lads. We need to do everything we need to do.
It's the mentality of the players.
We'll bubble along next week.
That's the worrying bit for me. Sorry to interrupt, Chris.
No urgency at all, Chris, is there?
A manager can't come out and say that. They can't come out in public and say that. But I think what I would say is he went too far the other way, because actually, if that was me, you'd be saying, the message to the players was, again, we had to win. We've come here and in the circumstances of a lot of players that haven't played a lot and haven't trained a lot, we've got a point, which is okay. But actually, we needed to come here and win the game. So we're disappointed we haven't done that. But that wasn't the feel you got. The feel was very much kind of like, well, actually, points not a bad result in the circumstances. And in some situations, when you've had a lot of players that haven't trained and are coming back from injury and whatever, that would have been a good point. But in the situation it is, you just open it up. What he's doing a lot is he's opening the whole thing up to ridicule, isn't he? And he's trying to give excuses, but I'm afraid in our situation,
he's giving them excuses. He's letting them fail and saying it's okay to fail, lads. It's fine. A point is all right. You tried. That kind of thing. Real losing mentality, and so sad to watch from somebody like Gary Johnson, who's had so much success and has always been able to galvanise squads, galvanise players, get them going. He gets angry, he tells them what's what.
Yeah,
it just feels like he's given up, doesn't it?
Yeah. For as much as we, people blame the owners for the mess we're in, some of the comments that Gary has made this season, it's just mind-boggling to me. And if it was October, November, when with only a couple of points off, it probably would have been a good result back then. But lads, this is crunch time. We're in the final 9 games of the season now. We can't draws are no good. Draws are like losses at the moment. You got to win football matches, and the simple fact is we've won 7 out of 37. The
only time he's been angry is when the supporters gave him something to think about at Yeovil. That's the only time I've seen a bit more passion and fire out of him.
I think actually the 7 in 37 stat is, we've kind of charting this how many wins and how many games, but I don't know that's the relevant stat right now, really. 1 win in 10. No win in 7. That's probably more relevant, isn't it? Because actually, you need to be trying to, I mean, Gateshead have been steadily improving, haven't they, as the season's gone on? But that's probably 1 win in 10 in games 27 to 37 when you're in the bottom 4.
Oh,
5 of that. You're not. No wins in 7. Yes, we've only lost games by the odd goal. Is it? Haven't lost a game by more than one goal for 5 months, or whatever it is. But
that's what he keeps clinging to, isn't it? It's always within 1 goal, but it doesn't matter how many you lose by, is it? Because
it's almost blind optimism, isn't it? That, it'll come good. I believe in it, so it'll come good. Well, it's going to have to bloody hurry up, isn't it?
But you don't win trophies for being, we've only lost by 1 goal, this many times. It's like that thing, Sam, the FIFA thing where they're celebrating a trophy, but there's no trophy. It's sort of like that.
It's literally just like
it's like nothing. Absolutely. But he had nowhere to hide though, Gary, at full time, because obviously they moved us thankfully over to the covered area where the home fans were. And Yellow Army, I tip my hat to you. Absolutely incredible sport once again. I mean,
I was lucky to have more than 70 or 80. So 173 was it?
173. We had
unbelievable.
We were joined by about 10 or 15. I think it was Grantham Town fans, because they were playing Dunstan a couple of miles away, and their game was waterlogged. So they came and joined us, but 173. You made a really good racket, and fair play, Yellow Army. That's absolutely incredible.
To support this bunch of players like that, it's absolutely amazing, because we keep saying these are a bunch of tryers, aren't they? But they are a sad-looking bunch at the moment. They haven't got any energy. There's very little skill to go around. It's tough to watch.
And I think the fans as well are almost kind of making you feel more sad, aren't they? Because when you think what people go through, and we all do what we want to do in life in terms of hobbies and stuff, don't we? But what people are prepared to put themselves through for something they love, and this is kind of what you're getting. And no fan, I don't go with we deserve better thing. I don't really go with that, because no one deserves to support a club that wins. That's not why you go to football. But you do deserve more than we've had as a football club in terms of ownership, leadership, management
it's
changing.
I said it's one of those three things, isn't it? It's one of those three things. If you get at least one where the club cares a bit, they're trying, you might not results not be happy, and that's one. And you've got, that the future of your club, someone's trying their best, fair enough. Two, obviously the players actually, some of them are quite good at football, that helps. Three, winning games. So when you've got none of them three at all, then that's when it's terrible.
I mean, the last two great escapes we had under Nico, we had small budgets then, didn't we?
You knew they were trying,
but you felt they were
together.
Felt, despite the budget, it felt like everybody was in it together, didn't they? We were all trying our hardest, and somehow it came good. And it doesn't feel like that this season. It really doesn't.
Clearly, this is a stat that I've not researched in any way, shape, or form, but not just in the National League, but in any league. I wonder how often, in the last 15 years, teams have got relegated out of divisions without having had a management change. Because it can't happen very often, can it? It can't. Because even the most loyal clubs and whose managers have been there for the longest, you look at clubs like Leeds when they had Bielsa, and they all worship the ground that he walked on when they got promoted, but then they turn their back on him when times got hard in the Premier League. But I bet you it can't happen very often.
It used to be more common because teams stuck with man managers a little bit more, but not.
But even thinking back to when I was a kid, when you look at sides who got relegated out of the Football League and then the Premier League when it started, even then clubs didn't. Sure, it's not the scattergun approach you get nowadays, but clubs did something to try and change their fortunes. I think if I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'm not entirely sure that backing the manager to bring in the previous manager would necessarily be what I'd be happy with. But you do something, you try something. I mean, and again, the longer the season goes on without any discernible improvement, the longer you think to yourself, "Wow, we're gonna go down with." What
and it's sad to watch these other teams like Scunthorpe and Yeovil spend the money, isn't there? They've got new owners. They're excited. The fans are getting excited. They're thinking, right, we can push out. We haven't got any of that.
I've seen Scunthorpe, they've signed someone from Derby on loan, haven't they? Looks really good. Can't remember his name. It'll come to me, but they've signed someone from Derby.
They've also got the striker who was at Gateshead, so they took him from. I think he was at Boreham and he was on loan to Gateshead, and he left for Scunthorpe. So Gateshead haven't struggled for goals since. So.
But again, that comes down to money.
That's what I mean, Chris. That's what we want, isn't it? We want.
Yeah, but we haven't got it.
Something, don't we? We need something.
We haven't got any money, so it's pointless wanting because we haven't got it. So that's the problem, isn't it? But it'd be interesting whether they do anything before the transfer deadline on Thursday, because would you accept this is what we've got to keep us up right now?
No, it's just
they're not keeping us up.
They're not keeping it.
No chance.
I can't see them spending money just for the sake of it now, because it's just too late. I think if they were going to do something, it would have been a few weeks ago.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said in the ask at the weekend, it seems odd we've started adding players now, when kind of 5, 6, 7 weeks ago was when we desperately needed to give them time to bed in. You look at players like Dawson who've come in. Sounds like Stobbs did okay, but actually in terms of players. Again, you don't want to harp back on for somebody who comes in who has an impact that I was talking about around the turn of the year, a Sinclair Armstrong, a Duke McKenna, one of that who comes in and makes an impact right now.
Proper players, yeah.
None of that.
We only brought those players in because other players left. We've not really bumped up the squad, have we? De Silva left, so Collins came in, did he?
Yeah.
Collins got injured, Stobbs comes in, so we just replace him. We're not bumping up the squad. You still haven't got anything on the bench to call to, have you? So
no.
It's not like it's improving overall. It's just moving players around.
Yeah. It's just a constant juggling act this season, and unfortunately again the recruitment's been very, very poor, and it just tells on the pitch. I'm sick of seeing the same game every time I watch Torquay at the moment. It's the same style of play, same players, and there's just no zing about this squad. I mean, I dread to think how worse it would be if we didn't have Nico Lawrence back there. He was outstanding again on Saturday, absolutely brilliant.
How was Dawson? Was he all right in midfield, or was he?
Yeah, I thought he had a decent game. Yeah.
Okay. The new guy on the night was quite lively.
Yeah. Again, it's improvement on what we've had in this season, but it's just probably not going to be enough to get the results that we need. I mean, Tope, I really like the guy, but again, he just did nothing pretty much for most of that game. He was getting dispossessed.
He's playing too far. He's playing too far back, though. I mean, tactics. Yeah. He's a guy who wants to play on the shoulder up the top, doesn't he? He's not playing. He keeps coming back into midfield, and that's not his game.
Yeah. The number of times when Gates had a free kick, we had 11 players in our half. We had no attacking outlet whatsoever. We had no attacking threat, and we're all going, "Why have not got one or two up there at least? Like, come on, lads! Like, get in the game. Like, we need a win. We've got to get wins if we want to have a chance of staying in this division." And it was just, yeah. Sorry, I was going
to say, I just think Fadahunty is an example of this season, this squad all round. He's had the odd flash, the odd moment where he's finished like the goal at Woking, got over the top, nice finish, but he's not tall enough, he's not strong enough, he's not quick enough. He's just serviceable, isn't he? Which is why he'll get the odd goal. But in general, he gets pushed off the ball. He doesn't jump. He doesn't compete for headers in the air. Doesn't even get in someone's face to try to force a mistake. He's just okay, isn't he?
Do we ever play very well with two up front, though? I mean, we keep trying to do it. It never seems to happen. Never seems to work. Apart from that Aldershot game, Goodwin and Jarvis caused havoc. But I think Jarvis is better as a man up top, and then you play off from behind him. I just
got to have the players, haven't you? Because to do that, you've got to have some width and some pace. We haven't got that. The biggest issue with the squad is pace. There's no pace in the squad at all, is there? The only pace we had was De Silva, who lacked a bit of end product. But Evans has started getting in games, scoring a few goals.
And Kieran, he's had a good few weeks actually. He's
coming
looked
in
one
off the left.
Players. He's looked one of a few players who is a professional player recently.
I was going to bring that up actually because would you argue that Kieran Evans is about the same kind of getting to, when Lemon Ivans first came to Torquay on 900 hours, he can't show glimpses here and there. I feel like Kieran Evans is getting towards, obviously not the Lemon Ivans, it was Asas, he was fantastic, but I feel Kieran Evans is getting closer to the standard where Lemon Ivans was, because Lemon Ivans was a decent player, but some games he didn't impact when he first came because the team was bad. But I've been really impressed by Kieran Evans.
He's got quick feet, Kieran, isn't he? If you
he's now the player that I thought he would be when he signed. That's why I think he's frustrated so much of our fan base at times, because you think there's ability here, but it's just a lack of know-how to get out.
The thing is, as well, he's a kid, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Just like Lemon Evans was when he first arrived. How old was he when he first played for us? 18, and he progressed and got better as he got older and more physical.
A season in the South did all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did Lemon Evans,
how good did he look in the South? I think Evans would be the same. Evans would run rings around.
What I like about Kieran is he always shows to the ball.
Andrew Zorvan, McDonald. Yeah. There's a season in professional football in the South did them the world of good. And I hope
he always shows to the ball, doesn't he?
And I hope going down that we sign a load of players on this for another episode. We sign a load of players who I like that, who we need to sign those sort of younger players who just need a season in the South. But
the funny thing is as well, if you look at that squad in the National League South, there weren't many players in that team who were National League South players. Does that make sense? You look at Jamie Reid, we got a bit lucky with a loan like, Siku Jane, people like that, but there weren't many, but you look at people like Winter, there were punts on Cameron and McDonald and people like that, but there weren't many players, because your thought was we would get a group of the best National League South players who'd been consistent at that level to get us out of it again. But actually what it was just far superior footballers who were just, we got a bit lucky, as I say, Kalala.
We had the Bristol City.
You say that but you think some of the players that Gary Johnson shipped out straight away.
Oh yeah, but we just had a group of players that were, what do we have in that pace? We had pace in that team.
Kalala, because he loved
Jana. And we had players who could, and in a lot of games as well, you could see the tactic. A lot of teams could stay in it to 70 minutes, and then you just had to stay in the game, hold it, and the last 20 minutes, when the fitness went, they just couldn't cope, could they?
The next season proved they were a mid-table, slightly lower half National League team, like the COVID season, which ended halfway through. That's why they were.
But we had fun then, didn't we? We had pace, we had skill, we had something to get your bums off seats.
Club was on the up again,
that was a Gary Johnson team, you might say.
Yeah.
That was historically, pacey, lively, score goals, entertain people. That was what he's always tried to build his teams around.
That's why the season's been so baffling, especially when he had a whole clean slate to build a team. And there was just no.
The last two seasons, we've had the slowest team in the league. So where has that come from? Why is he no longer getting any pacey players in? It's just,
yeah.
Alex Adai, we had him for 4 games.
Yeah, Nathaniel George, he looked all right for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
God, the amount of players have been had in the last 2 seasons on loan. God, my goodness. Huge.
Have you got any more stats for us, Dom, this week, or did you exhaust yourself last week?
No, My only question this week is what's more painful, the actual football or Gary Johnson's post-match interviews?
Well, I only watch the football. So.
The interviews are more painful because when you're at the football, you've always got hope. But once you know what happened, you just got to listen to what he says. It's
a point gained, I suppose.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, cheers, Gary.
I think that'll do us end of part 1.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.